Everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're back in the garage again and back with Spyder because my check engine light is on again, which means the canister replacement or bypass didn't really deal with the problem. So we're on to my next step of DIYing this before it goes back to the dealership to sit for a few weeks while Can Am tries to figure out what's going on. So what we're going to do is something that could be considered preventative maintenance, may hopefully address the issue, and that's to replace the vacuum lines on the M.A.P sensor. This project costs about $1 to do. It's a good thing to do, or at least to check, especially if you have an older Spyder, because these do tend to dry out and then crack and you get vacuum leaks and check engine lights. So pretty simple project. I'll walk you through it step by step. We'll get started. For this project, you're going to need a T30 screwdriver and about $1 worth of vacuum hose. You need about 8 inches. So if you get a foot, it's usually sold by the foot at most auto parts stores, that's gonna cover you. For me, it was $1 a foot. To begin then, we're gonna take off this panel right here. So there's 4 T30 screws. There's 2 here, 1 on the top and 1 on the side. And then this panel comes off by kind of hinging down. So you're gonna lift the bottom out and let it kind of tilt down and then pull it out. Okay, now that the outer panel is removed, we can see the M.A.P sensor. The M.A.P sensor is going to be this guy right here. There's a single T30 screw at the very top of it that goes that way that you're going to want to remove just to give you some extra play. But mainly what we're interested in is the vacuum hoses. So there's one here. So this kind of black hose that comes off the M.A.P sensor and goes into the cylinder. And then there's another one back behind. It's gonna be very difficult to see on video, but it essentially runs from the M.A.P sensor back and then plugs in to the cylinder wall, kind of back in there. That one's gonna be a pain to get to. It should be able to finagle it a little bit. Just regular vacuum hoses to pop this in. So I'll grab a new chunk of those, cut them to length, and we're gonna swap those out. All right, so I pulled the screw out of the M.A.P sensor and just sort of laid it down here so you could see the second hose. The second hose is this right here. So you're seeing kind of the end of it. And it curls down and back and goes into the cylinder, if I can stop my phone from focusing, right back there. And I'll try to put a little arrow on it in the video so you can see. So not the easiest place to get to, but I'm thinking I can pull that hose off, get one that's about the right size, put the back fitting in first, and it'll just be kind of a pull it forward and curve it into the M.A.P sensor. This is what the actual vacuum hose looks like. This is the one from the front, or I guess the rear cylinder. It doesn't look damaged at all from kind of a visual inspection. I haven't been able to look at the back one yet. This did, however, just come off in my hand. There was absolutely nothing holding this to the M.A.P sensor. It was extremely loose. So I'm wondering if maybe that was enough to give me the vacuum leak that was causing the error that I'm dealing with. So with the new hose, I have 2 different options. They're sold by the foot from my local auto parts store. One is just a vacuum line. It's actually, I think, washer tubing. And the other is a fuel line. And the fuel line is slightly larger interior diameter. So I'm going to start with this guy, given that the last one seemed to be loose. And I'll cut it to size and make sure I can kind of get that over the M.A.P sensor probably first and then on the barbed fitting. For the rear one, since it's so difficult to get to, I'll probably actually do that one first and take the old hose off, use that to cut my new one, and then place it onto the cylinder first, run it forward and get it onto the sensor, and then I'll deal with the more easy to reach rear one. So my new chunk of vacuum hose is installed. In order to do that, I did have to make some room. So there's a plug that goes kind of right up here that I had to disconnect, and then I also had to free up the knock sensor here, and just to get it moved out of the way, just so I could get my hand in here because the clearance is very tight and I have big hands. So I'll put those back together and then I'll deal with the front hose and get the M.A.P sensor reconnected. And there we have it. New vacuum lines are attached. Everything is screwed back in place and set. All my plugs are reattached, my sensors are back in. Now it's just popping the panels back on and firing it up. So yeah, not a difficult project. Take you about 5-10 minutes depending on how long it takes you to get to that rear vacuum hose, because it is a little tricky just to get your hand in there if you have big paws like I do. So we're at the end of the project. I'm going to take this thing out, get the CEL reset so I can see if that hopefully addressed the problem. Otherwise, it'll go back for some more in-depth mechanic work because I'm at the end of what I can do DIY. I'm also at the end of this project, so I owe you a dad joke. So since we've been working on a vehicle and playing with an engine again, what type of fish would make the best mechanic? Tuna fish. All right, have a great afternoon. We'll see you next time. Remember, most important step of any DIY project is just to do it. Those of you out on motorcycles, ride safe. Catch you next time.